So
I was doing a live demonstration and somebody had asked me, so what do they what did they tell you about the other side? Or do you know what happens when you that's what it was. Do you know what happens when they cross over?
so what happens when you're non-physical?
Right. And I said, I don't have a clue. And I said, and they all looked at me and said, okay, I'll tell you what I do know, or what my opinion is.
Right.
And I said, I do believe, and I've done a lot of readings where when they do cross over, there's somebody waiting for them on the other side, or somebody that helps cross them over, because there's always somebody with them on the other side. That I do know. I do know that they're not in purgatory, that they're not in limbo, that they're not stuck,
Right.
that it's crossing over to a different dimension. That I do know,
Right.
So
It's like I don't know if you ever met John White, but I would help him with circles when he would do circles, and that was like one of the biggest questions, right? So he'd have everybody close their eyes. He's like, I'm going to show you what it's like on the other side. And everyone's like, yay, I'm going to find out. So yeah, you have 40 people closing their eyes, and he's like, okay, now we're gonna find out what it's like when we die. And everyone's like, okay. And he goes, now open your eyes. And they're like, what just happened? He's like, exactly. You still are aware of what you're aware of, only you now have no body. It's closing your eyes and opening your eyes. And I always loved that example.
wow.
I just always loved the way he did that with people, because we want like this huge something, right? And depending on what we've been taught from when we were little, or what books we read or movies, or anything, right? And then to know that you're already in spirit and you're still seeing spirit. It's just now you are essence instead of physical.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that cool? It's like it's so simple and yet just completely elegant. It's just
Yeah.
close your eyes and open your eyes. And now what do you see? And then do you know who Arnita Morjani is?
No.
She wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. And she went through a humongous cancer event. She was basically dying or dead. She had this near death experience. And she said it was like essence with essence. So in this space, she didn't recognize a body, but she recognized it was her. And then she recognized her dad, who had passed years before. And she said, but he didn't have a body, but I knew it was him. And since it was essence with essence, the essences could merge together, intertwine, know everything all at once about that other person. And she said the best part is you could share the love that was unable to be expressed here because of cultural norms, or irritations between her and her dad, or the disagreements, and all of that. So she said that's one of the things she brought back with her after this, because when she woke up, her cancer was gone and she had to gain her strength back because she was down to like 80 pounds or something. But she had a really transformative experience. But she said what she brought back most was this: you are essence, everybody else is essence. They're there, only all of the social whatevers, all of that kind of stuff, all of the physical pains, that is removed, where you can fully experience the universe around you and the other individuals around you in a way that you can't here.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I always love that explanation too.
Yeah. Well, I had also, I would have dreams of my uncles when they had passed. And I truly believe that our heaven is whatever we envision it to be, as far as the other side is concerned. So, the one uncle said he was going on vacation. I don't know where he was going on vacation at, but maybe his heaven was the Bahamas or something, but he said he was going on vacation, or maybe he meant his body was resting and his body was taking a vacation. His physical being was taking a vacation. Who knows? The other one was at the circus. So who
Isn't that amazing?
strange, how that goes. But I was reading George Anderson. This was on the beach of Mexico, and I was reading this. And he had said, don't be surprised. And I have already had that experience. I had that experience years ago, decades ago. But I never got it validated. And then I read the exact same thing. Like he said that they'll come to you and let you know they are on vacation. I was like, oh, well, they're over here, they're over there. And I was like, wow, isn't
Yeah,
that cool?
and do so many things and so many things at the same time.
Yeah.
So there was one incident when there was one summer when I was doing outdoor demonstrations at Lilydale, and had one lady come running up after a demonstration. She's like, I really need to know something. I really need to know something. You never know what's going to happen. And here it was her and her sister, and they had been in different mediums' houses in different parts of the little town of Lilydale at the same time. Like they had a reading at 11:30. They each did with
Right.
separate mediums in separate places. And yet they both had evidence and experience with an aunt that had passed. And they're like, we need to know how that works. Why, how can that happen? It's like, because they're non-physical or not governed by the rules that we are here. So we can actually interact with more people at the same time. Part of us can be learning or on vacation while the other one's still checking up on family that's here. We can, experience so much in an energy state. There's so much, there's more endless possibilities than when we are in a physical state. So it's like, I think about that too, in terms of what it means to be non-physical, that there's a whole world of or universe of exploration, and that we're not bound by the rules of our humanity anymore. I mean, how cool is that?
Well, I don't, there is no space and time. I mean, when I had gone to my grandfather's house, and the young kid, I say young kid, 20 something years old, let me in the house. And him and his girlfriend would tell me about all these experiences that people were having within the house for the last 20 years. Maybe they owned it for almost 20 years. My grandfather died in 1982. It was my uncle. He sold it back in the late 80s. This was already maybe 2009 or 10 or something. So about 20 some odd years. But there were so many incidences that they were telling me, oh, and this happened, and this happened. And then they would see the guy, the old man with the white hair and the pipe in the corner with two boys. And then sometimes they would hear guitar music. When they partied all the time outside, they would come in, and then they would hear more partying. Nobody was in the house, but they would hear people, having a grand old time, here running up the steps, and I think it was a mishmash of different things. Yes, spirit was there. Yes, that's the echo or the debris of things that were happening. Somebody actually saw my grandfather into the kid's bed, patting his head because he was like deathly ill at that particular time. So, that's why I said there's no time and space. I mean, everything can happen at one time.
Yes. And I just think that's
Yeah,
awesome to think about. I think the biggest thing to remember is like you said, we don't know, first of all.
we
We
don't
really
know.
don't. We have some reports back or whatever, but those are all filtered through our humanity. So we don't know which ones are super true and not. But I do know we still have choices. We get to choose on, just like we do here, what kind of quote life we're having. But there's not the physical restrictions.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
And nothing to do with what we're talking about now, but sort of kind of not really. Um, you hear a lot of people say, or a lot of mediums or psychics say to their client will say, why did this happen to me? And you know what the response is sometimes, where I'm going with this.
Okay, so
Well, there was a lesson that needed to be learned.
no, there's no. Okay, so think of this. At least this is my perspective, all right? If we are loving creations, extensions of the universe, right? And the universe would like to fully experience what it means in all aspects of unconditional love and what that means. And that's why creation happened through the universe, right? Then our mission here is to experience all of life to the fullest. End of story. So no matter what we are experiencing, and we're the ones that put the pluses and the negatives on it.
Yeah,
We're the ones that do that. I'm not saying that some things aren't maybe hard or not hard, but again, it's from our perspective. So
right.
something that's really, really hard for us, somebody else might go whoop-de-doo, so all of that's relative, but there's no lesson, there's experience.
Oh, I like that, Jen. There are experience, no
Their
less.
experiences. And if we are loving extensions of the universe, recognizing all aspects of unconditional love, then what we experience and how we process it then is shared through the rest of the universe for more experience, not lessons, because that would suppose that, because that's so non sequitur, because some of the most evil people on the planet are the ones sitting in the comfiest chairs, right? So
Right, right.
so does that make any sense for a lesson? I don't know. That whole idea of a lesson, that either puts somebody into the I'm better than you pile, or I'm a victim of the universe pile, which negates any kind of free will or interaction of unconditional love that we're supposed to be built on. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I like that. I didn't do too much talking today, but I just need to
No,
listen.
you're good. You're good. This is
I needed to listen.
so send in your questions.
Please send in your questions, because before we go on air, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? So
We need questions.
you can either message us privately or just put it in the comments, or, whatever you want to do. Also, if you are not in the mediumship reading room, we have a Facebook page, Mediumship Reading Room, and it's for the development of mediumship. This is not for free readings.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Jen.